Well, fortunately, the North Carolina game, we found a way to come back and win the game. Felt like we had the game pretty well in hand, and then lost focus for a little bit there. And to their credit, they came back and seized the momentum. But we did enough at the end to win. Certainly, we'll have to play better this week against a very athletic Miami team. I think they're second in the nation in total defense, first in tackles for loss. Way up there in scoring defense. They're really athletic and run well. And offensively, they've got a lot of good athletes. So whenever they put it together, they got a chance to explode. Hopefully, it won't be this week.
Any questions?
Coach, they've had some switches back and forth with their quarterbacks there. And of course, Coach Rick announced that he's not sure who's going to start. Is there any major difference between the two?
One's a fifth-year senior, and the other one's a redshirt freshman. I think that's, the one's more experienced. I think the Perry kid's certainly very talented. I mean, he can sling it. He's a good athlete, but so is Malik Rozier. I mean, he was the quarterback when they were 10-0 a year ago, right? So it doesn't matter. They're going to run their system. I mean, they do what they do.
You and Mark Richt have gone against each other so many times. As players sometimes get into rivalries, do coaches when you go against a guy a lot of times?
Not really. I mean, he and I are kind of both offensive coaches, so it's a little different. We're not, our teams as head coaches have played each other, but we've really kind of gone against the other guys on the other side as far as calling plays and those kind of things.
You're rushing for, I think it's 377 per game, and I'm curious, just what do you see? Obviously, I know you weren't happy with the lines played last Saturday, but just what do you see?
Well, I think it wasn't all the line. It was just inside like I said, in the center guard box, and quite honestly, I wasn't happy with myself. I could have done some things to help them in there better than I did. I think that we've just kind of played. We haven't thrown the ball much, and therefore you're going to run it more. When we haven't gotten penalties and stopped ourselves, we've been pretty efficient running the ball. I think it's kind of the nature of the beast. It's kind of what you do.
Is this team more efficient? I mean, just able to run the ball better than others?
I don't know. You'd have to go back and look at the numbers. I mean, the best way to look at it's average per rush, probably average per play. I don't know. Mike might know. Is it a lot different than in the past?
It's
Yeah. I would think the first highest has been since we've been here too, I would think, huh? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't worry about that stuff.
Coach, you want to create turnovers, and Henry has kind of become a turnover-creating machine. Could you have imagined him having the year he's been having, and what's made him so successful this year?
I thought he would be a really good player. But I don't know that you ever know that he's going to have those kind of sacks and tackles for negative plays. I think he's a good fit for what we do defensively.
Just to follow up on that on the defense, you've doubled takeaways. Did you see that? Did you expect that?
Expect what?
To be so successful. You're, I think, tied 7th nationally now in takeaways. That you doubled your 2017 total.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when you're more aggressive, you probably get more takeaways. It's like I said before the season, I think sometimes we take something and just kind of run with it, and it's usually somewhere in the middle. I think that we've probably gotten a few more negative plays and a little more pressure, and sometimes you go through years where they just throw it to you, sometimes they don't. I mean, it happens. It's, if you go back and you look, I think Nate's had a pretty good history of creating some turnovers with what they do. So I certainly don't want to diminish that, but at the same time, it's like I can promise you we're not doing anything in practice that we didn't do before or whatever. It's I think it could be a function of maybe we get a little more pressure, which still our sack numbers are not very good, but we do have way more tackles for loss.
You had kind of an odd start to the season with the way the schedule unfolded, having
Yeah,
to
it
play.
was not. It was crazy. I mean, the schedule wasn't bad. I mean, to start out, we, you know, the second game of the year just killed us. I mean, there's no way we should lose that game, and we go down there and find a way to let them return 2 kicks for touchdowns, and then we fight back and get up 10 in the fourth quarter, and then they still come back and win. And I'm not taking anything away from them. They play well. But and then we go to Pittsburgh, and the first half we no show offensively. I mean, we can't make a third down, and we get ourselves so far behind we can't come back. And so the next game was with Clemson, who we'd had to play really, really well to beat. So you start out 1-3, and you're digging right from the start, and everybody wants to bury you anyway. So it's like, it just kind of compounds, you know.
With the defense, what are some things that you want to see get better going, rest of the season and going forward?
Third downs. You know, sometimes it seems like we're better on 3rd and 3 than we are on 3rd and 12. I think that probably anytime you put something new in, you know, the run fits probably come a little easier than the back end, and we have new guys in the back end. And I'll give you a great example. The first series of the game the other day, on the first 3rd and long, we got a guy who's supposed to drop underneath one, and he rushes. If he drops underneath one, you're off the field, and you know, just those kind of things that people, unless you know the call and you know what's going on, don't really realize what's happened. You know, so I think just being familiar with the stuff that stuff don't happen as much.
You referenced a couple tough losses early in the year. You've been doing this a long time. Do those get easier or harder to deal with as you move on in your career?
I don't think they ever get easier. It's like I said before, I can remember the ones we lost far more than the ones we won. It's just like you know, Miami, they were talking about games, and the one I remember is the one here when Tevin was the quarterback. I can remember that like it was yesterday, because we were up 7, and we had the ball at midfield, and it was 4th and 1 with about 1 minute and 30 seconds to go, or 1 minute 40. There wasn't much time. And I wanted to go for it, and I didn't. I got talked out of it, which was probably right. 4 plays later, they score. We're in overtime. And then we get in overtime. We get down on the goal line, and we got 4th and 6 inches, and we check a play and run a different play and lose the game. And that one's the one. Those games like that are the ones that are hard to let go, because I keep thinking I should have went for it on 4th and 1, because if I make the first down, the game's over. Now, if we go for it and I don't make it, and they get the ball at midfield and score, you guys would have killed me, but I'm a big boy. I can handle that. But it's like you have to – those are the ones that you think about. Had we gone for it on 4th and 1 and made it, I would have probably never thought about it. 2 days long, you win the game, and you just go to the next one.
If I can go back to what I was saying about the rushing game and just what's made it work, like why do you think it's been more efficient this year? What are the factors that have enabled that?
Honestly, I think if you go back and look, I don't know that it's a whole lot different. I think we've run the ball more. I think if you go back and you probably looked at average per rush, it's probably been close most of the time, unless you were behind and throwing it. You know, typically, we probably throw the ball 15 times a game. But with the nature of the way we've played the last few, and a couple of those games the Louisville game, there was no reason to throw the ball. Some of those games, really Virginia Tech, once we got up, there's no reason to throw the ball. It's just kind of happened, you know, when you run the ball 70 times in a game, the key's making first downs because you stay out there. We made 35 first downs at Virginia Tech, and it was so unusual for our football team, we never had a play over 20 yards. Now contrast that with Saturday at Chapel Hill, we had a ton of plays over 20 yards. You know, but what we were able to do is we were able to stay in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, whatever, and we could convert the first downs. And so if you do that and you make 35 first downs, you're going to accumulate some yards.